Welcome to today's next video, whatever day it is, and Woodhouse stories. I'm V, might edit these out. I don't know. This is this week's anyway. Right, I've been quite strong on Facebook this week. I'll be quite honest, because I'm not going to go into it all, and I know where Mike was knows where I'm going with this because he said this is a Woodhouse stories discussion. So we're just going to do that one topic because, well, I know we're drifting to the others. Reform, my favourite party. And I know Woodhouse, they're over there. He used to support them. And maybe he's drifting. I don't know. That's entirely up to Michael. But obviously, their big announcement of the reassessments. Now, I do not have an issue, let's be perfectly clear, with part of what they're doing. Obviously, there are a lot of people and benefits who shouldn't be, always has been before last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, however long it's been going on. That's always happened. It's not a today issue. That's always happened. There's always been people claiming who shouldn't have been claiming. There's always people going off sick when they shouldn't have been. And today's people actually, I think, are worse off because of it. And point being is, I used to work for KCC in a different capacity. And you used to get you could get literally 6 months sick and, quite a lot of holiday and stuff, build it up. Nowadays, you can't even get one day sick without being paid because people took advantage of it in the past.
Yeah.
So it's ruined it for today's people. Today's people go for a lot, they get blamed for a lot, but other people have ruined it for a lot of people today. And I'm in that bracket where it would have ruined it for people's today. So I've been structured on my Facebook regarding the thing purely because they're going after the disabled again with PIP. Now, my point being with PIP and reform, whenever I see reform stuff with PIP and stuff, they purely do not understand a lot of the conditions, and they've insult people. I don't want to say too much, but let's just say I think they just a bit like the environment, they don't believe in a lot of stuff because they can't be bothered to understand it and they don't want to listen to other people. It's like some of their supporters, their view is the only one that counts. It does not. You're talking about people's lives. And it's not just the person on PIP's lives, it's their family's lives. Because if someone's at home in this PIP, it means someone might not be able to work to look after these people in PIP more, which then the household lose money there, more time's needed. So there is such a snowball effect. Now, my thing was on Facebook, let's get to that point, was the job situation where they're saying with the welfare people, get them to do 20 hours of volunteering. Sounds great. You think it sounds great?
Um.
You know what I put, so don't nick my
Well, no,
line.
no. I'm gonna answer with what I think, not with what I've seen. So I'm gonna say there's a lot of things that I've seen from Reform and from Labour that I don't agree with. I don't agree with the attack on. I think there's a lot more people who are out of work who aren't disabled, who are. Let's get this straight from the point where PIP is a lot less money than universal credit. And people who are jobless or can't be bothered to work are being paid more to not work than people with PIP who may have a mental problem, or have a physical problem. Now, I done some research as I promised you I would, and there's a few things that's been said from Reform. As I said before, I've supported Reform because I think we needed. Well, I say Reform, I say Nigel Farage. I supported Nigel because I thought he was a big character to make the movement in politics. I don't agree with how now there's a thing in place where it means if a company ongoing from 2030, it's only a planned thing. if someone was to call in sick, the company would have to pay, I think it's 2 to 4 years of sick pay, no questions asked. Now, I don't understand how they can go, right, that's the answer to PIP, because that's just going to kill more companies. I think people who require PIP, it's hard to it's hard to do a phone call from a doctor, because let's get it straight, no one in this world is getting NHS a visible viewing of a doctor now. Most times it's a phone call, unless you're lucky to get an appointment. Now, a, a doctor would say to you, yeah, well, yeah, you've got a bit of this, or you've got a bit of that, or um, you're on the spectrum of this or on the spectrum of that. And I, okay, I don't like talking about this often, but I would have been fucked without any support from the government. And I was so lucky and honoured to get that support. But I know people that who would use that to their benefit, like, if that makes sense. Like,
Inappropriately. This
yeah,
is one of the problems. I don't think reform explains stuff very well. I think they jump on the social media bandwagon, which, I've said before that they hype on social media. This is why people follow it so much, because it's a lot more information. You get your bit from the Labour services, but you don't get what you get from the reform, because reform use AI, been proven, and everything else. But the problem being is everyone's jumped on PIP is the same as the welfare benefit, where people are, oh, I've got a bad back, I can't go in sick. PIP is completely different. And people need to understand they are not the same issue. PIP is like you're disabled. People is PIP, people who generally can't do it. Yes, there are probably some people getting on there who shouldn't be, but that sometimes is also, I won't say an opinion, but again, sometimes understanding. So it is I'm not going to call it a grey area, but you got to really understand, you can't tell me one of them can come in and tell a doctor what's wrong with somebody.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think that this is another thing about Nigel Farage that I love, but I also, I mean, it's so hard to have someone that's perfect, right? So
no
Nigel
one's
Farage,
perfect. No one's perfect.
yeah, but Nigel Farage has the great idea of saying he knows there's so many people who are neglecting it, and there's people out there who have used it for the right reasons.
Yeah,
People
let's talk
like,
that. Yeah, but he talks money. Let's be honest.
yeah,
But how much money do you think it would cost to overhaul the whole system, to reassess everyone on universal credits, PIP, and everything else? How much would that cost? Seriously.
yeah, no, a lot
A-
more
And
than,
and even I haven't got it here. I wish I had screenshotted it. Sorry if I look a bit here, but someone explained the whole numbers that Reformer put out regarding this, like 16 million or billion that will be saved and all the rest of it, just do not add up. They're saying there's actually only like 6 billion in the system, and then Reformer putting out like it's 60. It just doesn't add up whatsoever. And obviously, then there's the risk of privatising parts of the NHS. So you're risking taking people away from disabled, privatising NHS. Where does it, they say a lot of his friends and the rich people are in the medical sector. So everyone jumped on Boris Johnson with the PIP the all the gear to help out with COVID. But it
yeah.
just seems to me that it's one for one and one for another.
But I do think that COVID was a good example of how understanding the government are.
Yeah, so we were explaining, like, I think there's a lot to unpack with this new reform policy of the PIP and the universal credits, and I think the way it could come very confusing, and there could be a lot of innocent people involved in it all. That's my concern, you know, and I've seen it all before with what I do, and it's very, very concerning for. I don't claim nothing. So you know, people might think, oh, it's because he's claimed. I don't claim nothing personally, not me personally, you know. Um,
I think
I know
that,
people do get PIP, which would be looked at, which would be very unfair. So I'm a bit anxious about that.
yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are in who are in need of it, who I think it's so hard to.
I could have claimed for it, but when I went through arthritis, well, I still got some, and I could have claimed for it, and I've had one hip replacement. I never even went there because I carried on working. I wanted to try and do my bit, so I could have done, and I could probably get a low little bit now because I'm in constant pain and stuff. But I'm not interested. You know, I want
Yeah,
money, of course I do. But anyway, so let's end that there because I think there's so much to unpack. But if you are
but,
supporting it, please check it out. Don't just jump into it because it's Reform or
but
Nigel Farage.
I would say just one last thing. I think if if the government were to look at anything, I would say it's universal credit, not PIP,
Exactly, exactly.
because universal credit is the biggest piss take in this country.
It is so hard to get PIP as well, and people don't
Yeah,
realise how hard it is to get. Yeah,
and
so
it's
it's
so easy
extremely
to get
hard.
universal credit. I've known people. I'm not going to say names, um, but I've known someone that's very close to me who has. I say very close to me. It's close to me, but not greatly close. Who's been out of work for so long, drugs, everything like that. Got a claim from Universal Credit. Got
Mm,
the advance of like 500 quid. And there's me and Leanne just working for a living, and like yourself as well. And it's like, okay, and then he goes and gambles.
mm.
It's like we are struggling to live in a fucking house here, mate.
Yeah,
But yeah,
as you say, it's pleased with anything and whatever party is. I know I do jump on film merchant because I don't think they think things through, and I am genuinely concerned, and I realise they've lost a lot of people and voters because of this, and some of it might be for the wrong reason that they're claiming they shouldn't be claiming, of course, but. There is a lot of disabilities that people don't understand.
Here comes the sun, and I say.